All right, obviously our fourth game of the season. Tonight was our second win, but probably our fourth best performance of the four that we've had so far. But all that being said, the only thing we could accomplish here today was beat Central Michigan, which after the course of 60 minutes when everything was added up, that's what we got done. A lot of the credit to our performance you have to give to Central Michigan. I thought the way that they played up front, they got after us. They simply got after us. And sometimes you just got to give credit where credit's due. We had a hard time blocking those guys. Obviously, we had a hard time getting our running game going. Without getting our running game going, it's very difficult to get the play action pass and things going down the field. And it was very difficult to drop back against them. And we knew that they had some good matchups. We knew they had some talented defensive ends, and they just, to be honest, they played better in us in that. It instantly became a game where you're trying to manage a situation, which is try to find a way to win the football game. And I thought the way that we were able to do that there in the second half was ultimately what the thing was all about. The most disconcerting thing, of course, is all the penalties. And it wasn't just the number of penalties, which is absurd and unacceptable, but it was the timing of the penalties. And what that caused, when you talk about our offensive performance, our defense could not or would not get off the field in the first half due to penalties, either on third downs or on downs that were going to be third downs. And the amount of snaps that we played, we've snapped the ball more than any team we've played through the first 3 games, and to have them run 20 more snaps than we did is going to turn it into a low-scoring game. And if you're an underdog on the road, that's what you want to do. You want to come in, you want to shorten the game. And again, we allowed them to do that by extending drives with penalties more often than not foolish. That's something that we'll make sure that we address into the bye week, because obviously we know going forward into ACC play, that's not winning football. It's not part of who we are, not part of our plan to win. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, obviously the rushing game seemed to struggle a bit. How do you kind of turn your focus to that going into the bye week?
Well, to me, it's just get back to fundamentals. Understanding who you are. What runs were there, and what did we miss, and where did the breakdown occur? And part of that is just evaluating our run game in general, which we thought was really showing a lot of good signs. And today, I don't think we ran the ball very well, and not just in terms of our stats, but just in terms of the way we hit things and the way we blocked things up. Obviously, it was substandard. So just get back to basics, get back to getting the football team better.
Coach, what do you attribute to the inconsistency?
I'll get to it real quick.
How frustrating, 4 penalties in the span of 6 plays in that goal line, just how your level of madness, I guess, over that. And secondly, did you get any indication with DJ if that's a serious thing?
DJ. No, I've not heard one way or the other on DJ, and yeah, the penalties, because it should have been. It was a heroic goal line stand that was only aided by our lining up off sides. They run a very tough play, the old tight end throwback on Pickney, and that one was his hand in there. They said it was. So it's a great effort that's ruined by a penalty. Trajan again on the play action pass turns his head around. To find the ball and and gets whistles for that. So, but that's all part of playing clean. The rules of the game are the rules of the game, and it's our responsibility to play better and to not put ourselves in a situation where you give somebody. I don't know how many snaps they had down there inside the 2-yard line, but there's too many guys fighting and doing what you want to let them just have free downs, and that's what we gave them. In a baseball analogy, the whole game was we gave them more than 3 outs. Our errors. They played very hard. Central Michigan, again, their quarterback is a dude. That guy can play. Made a lot of tough throws into tight windows. But again, when you're playing baseball, you got to get somebody out, and you give them 4 or 5 outs an inning. It's hard to keep us. It's a tribute to the fact they only scored 12 or whatever they scored. Yes.
Manny, last time you had 2 weeks off. I guess after your first game.
Right.
They came back a little. I don't know how beneficial it was to have all that time. Is this a 2 weeks that you really need now, or what do you think about the long time you have now?
I think it is what it is. We have to take a week off. I think the difference between the bye between North Carolina is you only played 1 game. So you had a lot of guys that only been in 1 game. So that week 1 to week 2 correction, I thought we probably lagged behind on that. I think the scenario is a little bit different right now. This is going to behave a little bit more like a true bye. Obviously, defensively, taking 78 snaps. There's some guys, I don't know if Shaq and Pickney came out for a play, so that's a lot on their body. So I'm sure there'll be some guys that'll welcome the bye. Obviously we need to practice. We need to keep playing. And part of that, we got some guys. Again, when you start talking about, the freshmen on the offense, Jaron needs to play. I mean, obviously he's doing a really nice job, but the more he plays, the better he's going to be, like all of our guys.
Manny, talk about the blitz packages that were such a big factor in the game tonight. Every time you guys got in trouble, I guess Blake and yourself were able to dial up blitzes that were effective and stop their drive.
Well, whether it was coming, whether it's pressure or not pressure, I thought we were okay getting after the quarterback tonight, to be honest. I still think that we're not as good as we're going to be rushing the passer as the year goes on. It's still great to see guys like Greg Rousseau continue to make big plays. We did make some timely sacks in terms of where the ball was on the field, where they kind of knocked it over midfield, and we kind of knocked them out of field goal range and some things like that. So, that's a big part of who we are, is creating negative plays. It felt like on the run game, we did a good job with that. And again, when I look at, obviously we struggled to run the football, but for 27 for 31 for them, again, is where it all starts defensively. And I think that's, again, why they've got a 12 next to their name.
And maybe the mid-game O-line alteration for Shakai. Was he also injured or getting John Campbell when he came in and TJ's came?
No, we were moving some guys around. Campbell got to play some tackle as well, and part of it was sometimes you got to take a young player and just bring him to the sideline and say, now watch what's going on out there, because again sometimes it just gets a little quick, and this all goes back to our preparation, and the players know that our Wednesday practice this week was probably as poor of a Wednesday practice we've had throughout the course of the year, and they wonder, does that matter? And then you watch us play tonight, and it matters, and especially with younger players. And look, it doesn't matter that they're young. They're Miami Hurricanes. They got to go play. But, Coach, do I got to do this every week? Yeah, every week. Do I got to prepare like this every week? Yes, every week. And that's the understanding of what it means to be a big-time guy week in, week out, and not a guy that plays good for a couple games, doesn't play well. And some of the signs of that, you can see on Wednesday. That's part of the maturation process, and we obviously have some guys that got to go through.
Manny, have we asked to change the field in that situation with 50 seconds left? Maybe they had one that was, they said 56, they said 59.
Yeah.
Is that
And-
to get one block early?
Well, right, and what, again, a penalty that had the ball at the 1 yard line. I mean, that's almost a 40-yard penalty. It won't say 40 yards there, but that was almost a 40-yard penalty between down the ball at the 1, which again, another great job by Louis on that. The one that got blocked, Louis just held on to it too long. To be honest, just part of just learning, the pace of the game and how much time you actually have. But to turn the field around in that mentality like that, and you can't talk about that play. Shaq Quarterman took 78 snaps. A very physical football game. And to see that guy, that returner is a great returner, 88 now. That guy can play. And to have Shaq Quarterman run a 65-yard sprint on that down to go make that play, that's who Shaq Quarterman is. It's maybe one of his best plays since coming to Miami.
Manny, you talked about physical toughness, how that is what you want this identity to be, especially on offense, running, being able to pound the ball. Did you guys take a step back from that side? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, off the evidence of what we just saw, I'd say physically we did not dominate this opponent, right? Which is what our goal and which our standard is. So now again, what you do is you pop the film on, and the thing that you have to be very cognizant of is when we say we, that doesn't mean that everybody didn't dominate their opponent. There may have been a guy here, a guy there, and what happens more often than not, the guy changes. One guy on this play gets beat, one guy on that play gets beat, that type of thing. But all of that makes it substandard. So again, we'll have to get back to, our identity in terms of playing with toughness. Now, from the mental toughness standpoint, a game like this where instantly style points came out of play, and it was all about how do we manage the situation and how do we come out here with a win. Because the only thing we could do today, again, was win the football game, which mission accomplished. There's 100 things that we have to fix, but I'd rather fix them all after a win than after a loss.
Let's do 2 more questions for Coach.
Manny, 4 games into the season, just getting ready to go to the bye. How would you just assess where this team is at this point in the season?
Well, I think what you see is you're seeing a team that's learning how to win football games. That's understanding the structure of how from the first quarter, the fourth quarter, offense, defense, special teams, in terms of how do we win a game, and what loses. And I think what we found out today are things that you can do that help you lose, that can get you beat. And, again, you can't talk about it without going right to the penalties, And those things can deny an otherwise great effort. Defensively, look at what their total yards were even at halftime, but we were never off the field because of our penalties. Those were things that were getting in the way. We just, hitting a guy after a play, things that are very out of character for us, and obviously will be addressed in practice. So, but you know what? That all matters. So what a team is learning when you're trying to rebrand and you're trying to find out how to win football games, you're finding out that everything matters, all those things matters, and all those little selfish type plays ultimately hurt the whole football team.